Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is the city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Good evening, Cavs fans. Welcome to another edition of the Block the Shot to Stop. Kind of a special edition tonight. Here with Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. As many of you know, the Cavs are starting a West Coast trip, I think a 5-game West Coast trip tonight. And we're not going to stay up till 1 a.m. So we said, let's do a little pregame pod, and then we'll do, the post-game pods more the next day. Anyway, tonight we're gonna do we're gonna look at a few things. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming schedule, but we're kind of in the mode of like starting to prepare for playoffs and make sure our momentum and our health and all of the things that we want for the playoffs are there. Like that kind of this last 15 stretch, especially when you have a 7.5 game lead in the conference like the Cavs do. So we're going to kind of talk about what we hope the Cavs can accomplish over the next 15 games to finish out the regular season and what fruits that may bring. We're going to talk about potential awards Cavs could win, the odds for them, if you so inclined to bet on it. And we will get into that in 1 second. Before I do, I want to let everyone know, if you did not see it on our socials, we are throwing a March Madness bracket. I understand it's the wrong type of basketball, but we thought we'd have some fun. I mean, everybody loves March Madness. So it's free to play. Just fill out a bracket, and we're going to throw out prizes to the top 5 people. The winner of the bracket is going to get 2 tickets to the Bulls Cavs game in April 8th, I believe it is, right after the national championship. So if you like doing March Madness and you like potentially winning tickets to a Cavs game, hop on in. It's on all of our socials. I believe it's on Reddit, Blue Sky, everything. And if you can't find it, just DM us and we'll get it to you. So with that, Skylar, how you doing tonight, man?
Feeling good, dude. I mean, weather's getting nice here in Ohio. Nice getting outside after work. The daylight is longer, even though we're in savings or not savings.
Yeah. And tomorrow, first day of spring, things are looking up.
Yes. Oh, it's like the best time of the year.
It is. So let's hop into it with kind of the topic that I teased right there at the beginning. We're starting kind of almost the last stretch of the regular season, last 15 games. Cavs have a very comfortable lead in the conference, even though it's not locked up yet. So we're just going to, for the sake of this discussion, we're going to assume the Cavs are first place in the Eastern Conference. Nothing crazy happens over this last 15 games. So assuming that, like, what are some things you'd like to see out of the Cavs kind of, this last little stretch before we get into the real season, which is the playoffs?
Health.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, just finish healthy. Everybody get healthy. I know we're kind of dealing with some, precautionary stuff, some ticky-tack, nagging injuries, but nothing major has happened so far. Nobody's missed extended time other than Max Strus at the beginning of the season. So finish with everybody. That's the ultimate goal here. That's how you get through, I don't want to say the gauntlet, but that's how you get through a long playoffs, because this Cavs team is intended to go deep within these playoffs.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. Health is, I think, very much the number one. And you're right. I think you want to go in with everyone healthy, because the odds are someone's going to turn an ankle or something in the playoffs, and you'll be shorthanded for a couple of games and things like that. So you'd rather start out fully healthy like they are right now for the most part, right? The only other thing, which I think is a distant second from that, but like I do like having a little bit of momentum going into the playoffs. And like they've frankly had momentum virtually the entire year, right? So it's not something, and I think this team has responded to every little adversity they faced so well that maybe I don't need to worry about it if they do go in on my 3-game losing streak in the playoffs. But I would like to see, the offensive efficiency stay high. I'd like to see, people like shooting well, playing well, sharing the ball like the Cavs have most of the year. I would like to see a lot of that stuff. Just, I don't know, make me even more confident going to the playoffs, even though my confidence is pretty high already. But yeah, man, I think this is it's always a weird stretch in the NBA because for some teams it's a very intense time of year that are fighting for playoff positioning or to get in, to get into the play-in, to get into the playoffs out of the play-in. And for the Cavs, it's just kind of, business as usual, right?
Yeah, I mean, they need to play 500 ball the rest of the season, and they get the 1 seed. They probably lose the advantage if they make it to the finals and if OKC makes it to the finals. But outside of OKC, like there's nobody in the West that can catch the Cavs as far as I think that's like 12 games back. Is next West team. So feeling comfortable about
that,
having home court advantage all the way through to the finals. The only way, even in the finals, the only other way is if OKC makes it. And I think a lot of the national media are starting to turn. I don't want to say turn against OKC, but kind of what we've been saying. Like they've been praising OKC to the finals. Why does OKC get we have to see how they do in the playoffs, like the Cavs always get. And I think a lot of the national media is starting to turn like, hey, these guys haven't done anything in the playoffs either.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And like the whole number 1 overall seed against OKC, it's not a huge concern to me. Like I would so much rather, play it smart this last stretch of the season, have everyone healthy, as you said. And if the Cavs end up playing OKC in the finals with or without home court advantage, I would be on cloud 9. I think it's a total coin flip on who would win that series. And I feel like that's a many tomorrows from now problem. Let's take care of business these next like 3 weeks before the playoffs start.
Yeah, many tomorrows problem is a great term there because yes, I would be happy to face OKC in the playoffs because that first game OKC in Cleveland, like that was by far the best game of the year.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. The second one was not.
No, but, we don't talk about the second one.
Yeah, kind of going along with that. These last 15 games of the year, though, is one thought I've had and been thinking about a little bit is like, what lineup combinations do we want to see more of, assuming everyone is healthy, right? I mean, we obviously know, the big 4 most of the time are going to be in the game, and then a lot of people think Hunter will be the 5th guy, maybe Strus, could be somebody else, but over the course of the game, you're going to play a lot of different lineups, even in the playoffs. So have you kind of given any thought to that? Like certain guys you'd like to see play together more just to see how it looks, or that you think there's like a high potential if you put a certain lineup in that maybe we haven't seen quite as much?
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it the last game or the last episode, pairing DeAndre Hunter with Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro and kind of seeing like what that mid-size all defensive lineup would look like.
Yeah. I agree. My number 1 was seeing a little bit more of Dean Wade and DeAndre Hunter play together because in some matchups in the playoffs, particularly Boston and OKC, but I think they're going to need to play both those guys at the same time for portions of a game, just because of their size and athleticism, and their defensive prowess matches up really well and kind of turns a weakness into a strength that the Cavs have, which is like wing defense. I am even open to, especially going down the stretch here, while we're doing its experimentation, playing those 2 guys as the 4-5, especially as you want to limit Mobley and Allen's minutes a little bit, just in case you're without a Mobley or an Allen for a game in the playoffs, whether foul trouble, sprained ankle, whatever. I'd kind of like to see what those 2 look like as the 4-5 when one of the bigs has to rest, opposed to having to go to Tristan Thompson. Because in limited data, the 2 of them playing together is phenomenal, like off the charts, both defensively and offensively. And it's kind of consistent with before the trade, Dean Wade and George Niang had the same kind of astronomical advanced stats, right? So I think there's a little something there to playing 2 big wings, whether it's together with one of the bigs or even just in place of the bigs if you need it. I mean, if everything's right, I want either Allen or Mobley, preferably both on the floor at all times. This is more experimenting damage control if something were to happen. So I agree with you, man. I think that would be really interesting to see those guys play a little bit more together, because while they're kind of interchangeable, I think they can also be kind of complementary when they play together.
Well, and you brought up another point. We're going to face Boston in the playoffs at some point, when hopefully we face OKC in the finals. Those are two. I mean, the refs are going to give Boston any call. They're the defending champions. They've earned that. So foul trouble is honestly probably a real concern when you have Allen and Mobley, and when going against OKC. SGA loves to just drive and draw fouls, and it's a huge part of his game, and kind of hurts the other team. But thankfully, this is the deepest Cavs team I can remember, and probably the deepest team in the league. So you're going to need these guys to be able to play together, and I want to see what our best defenders look like without fouling or getting baited into fouls, or kind of when, because the refs are going to go sway to Boston, and it's unavoidable.
I love it that you're already preparing yourself. You're talking to no one but yourself about this. You're getting in your head. It's hilarious. I agree with you. SGA is the best at it, but there's some other, and I say this affectionately, some foul baiters in the East as well. Jalen Brunson's one of the best in the league at it. Tatum can be pretty good at it. Trae Young can be as well. And those are all teams the Cavs could very potentially see. So, and not I agree with everything you said, but the one other thing, foul trouble is more common in the playoffs because your star players just play more minutes a lot of times, right? The more minutes you're on the floor, the more opportunities you have to foul, especially when other teams are kind of hunting that. And so I agree. I think there's definitely going to be games in the playoffs where they're tested with foul trouble, whether it's their bigs or somebody else. But, I love this team is built to have contingency plans. I just kind of want to test out a lot of those contingency plans just in case
exactly.
break glass in emergency, right?
Exactly.
So, so the one other one I was going to throw at you as far as lineups go that I would like to see a little bit more of down the stretch here. I don't know if the opportunity will present itself in the playoffs, but it could. I'd like to see a little bit more of Ty Jerome with Garland and Mitchell too, all three of them, and just the extreme playmaking lineup, kind of the inverse of what you said, the all defensive lineup, right? Would it put the three of them together where there's just playmaking all over the court? Obviously, you have one or both bigs in with somebody else, but I think I'm looking at certain matchups, teams that frankly aren't that big in the 1 through 3 spots that they could go to that lineup for a 3 or 4 minute stretch and just kind of screw up a team because they don't know where they're going to initiate the offense from and where the secondary action is going to be and things like that. So I don't know. You have any thoughts on kind of putting all three of them together and just kind of seeing a little bit more of how it looks?
I think that lineup, let's just say Garland, we'll put Hunter at the 4, and then Mobley at the 5, Mitchell and Strus. I think that's a Milwaukee killer. I think that's a probably a Heat killer. I think that's a borderline Pistons killer, I would say.
Yeah. You could argue that 5 guys you just said would be their highest potential offensive lineup.
Absolutely. And the teams I mentioned, nothing against them. I mean, they're NBA teams. They're teams that can't stop pace, can't stop the 3 ball, and I think that's a deadly lineup. As far, I don't want to say, you could say small ball, but that would be a great lineup for a lot of these teams that are very big, heavy, like OKC or not OKC, Milwaukee, like Miami. So I think it's a very potent lineup, and hard to say that there isn't a potent lineup with this Cavs team.
No, for sure. And that was frankly one of Boston's biggest strengths last year is they had the best top 8 in the league, and they could kind of mix and match and give you different looks on it. OKC has been phenomenal at this year, and the Cavs have been phenomenal. I just think the Cavs have even more options than they've shown us, right? And or that maybe options they've shown us in very small increments to see a little bit more. And I just like kind of what you said, go more an all defensive lineup because that's what we need, and an all offensive lineup and different mix matches, it kind of within it also. That I think would be good. The only other thing, like lineup wise, this last 15 games, and again, this is experimenting. We don't need to win every game. I kind of want to see Isaac Okoro and Javonte Green play a little bit more to see how ready they are to be high contributors in the playoffs. Because Okoro's had a really weird year, right? Like he was out for a long time. He was injured. Like he started out the season just shooting blazing numbers and then has come back and shot much, much worse than he did to start the year. And Isaac can be such a high level contributor. We've all seen that over the last few years, but I want to see, like, is he ready to contribute? I'd like them to test him a little bit more, get him up in the 20 minutes ish a game, and basically see if he's somebody that you're going to count on in the rotation in the playoffs.
Yeah, it has been weird. His minutes have kind of like, we've seen where he hits like the 20 minutes and then he like dips down to like 8 minutes, like last game. So yeah, I think a little more consistency there would be helpful. I mean, I gotta ask who. I saw it on, I forget who. Maybe it was ESPN or maybe it was TNT. I can't remember. But like, the finals matchups, like Lakers Cavs would be amazing. OKC Cavs would be amazing, and then Lakers Boston, OKC Boston.
Yeah,
like what? Obviously, we're gonna pick Cavs, but like OKC or LeBron.
Well, the best storyline is the Lakers. Like literally, LeBron trying to win his 5th championship against Cleveland. I mean, that's every sports writer's just licking their chops for that to happen. So if you're looking storylines, I think that's the best one. If you're looking for the highest quality basketball in the finals, it's OKC and Cleveland. And they match up so well together, and they can do. They're so talented and can do so many different and also the same things. You have some of the biggest stars in the league. You have the 2 deepest teams in the league. You get to see all this talent on display. I mean, so it's kind of like, what do you want? Do you want the highest level quality basketball, or do you want the best storyline?
Yeah, I mean, the storyline would be incredible. I mean, incredible. I also think if it is Cavs and OKC, it becomes like, all right, here's our next generation. Like, this is one of the first playoff or finals without LeBron or Curry or Tatum, and which even Tatum and Brown are still young, but
it's crazy how young they are.
But like the like introduction of like the next wave, the next generation.
Yeah, no, the OKC and Cleveland are here to be 2 of the best 5 teams in the league for the next 5 years, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they couldn't be better positioned to do that. The Cavs, with all their talent, young and signed, OKC with some of that plus the war chest of like assets and picks they have. I mean, there's not 2 teams set up better, other than maybe Boston, to be good for the next 5 years. So yeah, I agree with I agree with that. Again, it's what you want, the storyline or the best basketball. I probably in the minority of the Cavs fans, I want the best basketball. I want to see Cleveland and OKC play each other. I really do.
I think it'd be fun. I think the story would be so fun. And as a Cavs fan, I feel like even if they if they lost in that finals, it would still feel okay.
Yeah, it would. I agree. All right. Well, we're going to do one more fun segment. And we'll come back around to this maybe at the end of the year, right before they're picked. But we want to talk about like the NBA awards, how it concerns the Cavs, right? Obviously, you have a season as good as the Cavs. You're going to get some, your players are going to be awarded, your coaches, your executives are going to be awarded or have a very good opportunity to be. So we're gonna run through a few and just kind of see. We'll give out the betting odds, but like what ones we think are whether it's a favorite to happen and we think it could happen, or maybe even a sleeper one that we like. Just to get out of the way, I'm gonna get the easiest one out of the way. Kenny Eckes is the coach of the year. He's minus 1,200 right now, and there is no one who is going to take that award from him, no matter what happens last 15 games of the year. I mean, shout out JB Bickerstaff, JJ Redick, incredible coaching years for sure. They're the second and third, odds right now. And those guys have been phenomenal, but doing what Kenny's done this year turns this award a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's Kenny's award to lose. I mean, and I don't even think he can lose it at this point. He go 0-15 in the last bit here. Like this award's locked up. Although I did love JB Bickerstaff's post-game rant the other
It was a good one.
It was fiery. I loved it a lot. If I played for that guy, that would fire me the hell up.
Yeah. All right. So we got the easy one out of the way. You pick. What do you want to? Which one you want to do next?
Well, I guess we can go to the next easiest, which is Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year. And I don't want to hear with an asterisk because Wemby's out. I mean, it is his award. I mean, you gotta play the season, no matter what.
The only thing keeping Evan from winning that award, in my opinion, is health. He does need to play 6 more games to qualify for all the awards. You need to get to 65 games. He's at 59 right now. From everything, it sounds like he's going to play tonight, and him resting the other day was no big deal. So, again, we're assuming he gets to 65 games. I agree with you. I don't, and you know what? I hate putting asterisks on things, right? He's the Defensive Player of the Year. Victor Wembanyama is an amazing generational defender, but he wasn't eligible for the award this year, and Evan Mobley was. And one of the most important skills in sports is availability, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that I actually love that the NBA made the minimum game to receive all these awards. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, he's currently -3 on FanDuel. He's -320, and the next closest person is Jaren Jackson Jr. at +1,000. So,
okay,
he's got a good space in there.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I'll pick the next one. I'm going to pick the other one that Evan's involved in, and it's Most Improved Player. This is the most confusing award the NBA gives out.
So confusing, dude.
Because it seems to often go to a guy who was very good and became great, and that's why Cade Cunningham is the leader. Cade Cunningham has been phenomenal this year. He's going to be an All NBA player. He's leading Detroit to so much better season than anyone would have predicted. So he deserves accolades. I just don't know if the Most Improved Player award is the accolade he should be getting.
So Tim and I talked about this one. Out of all the people that are in front of Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham is the person that makes the most sense. Sure, the best argument. But how the hell are you going to say Tyler Hero, former 6 Man of the Year?
Yeah.
Former, I think he has a scoring title under him or something. He's got some other accolade. How is that guy most improved?
Yeah, I mean, and Evan, I should have said this, is currently 5th, but it's very long odds for 5th. It's 10,000 plus 10,000 to win. And I think Evan is incredibly improved. I don't know why Ty Jerome isn't on this list. As far as most improved, this guy, and you could say maybe some of his has just been situation and health. That is the reason he hasn't been such a high contributor. But this guy went from never averaging more than, I think, 6 points a game to being one of the best bench players, if not the best bench player in the whole NBA. If that's not improving, I don't know what is. But you're right. I mean, Evan, the improved with Evan is all about his offense, right? His defense hasn't improved because he's already amazing defensively. He's just going to get awarded now for it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying the Cavs should win every award, but my personal feeling is I think Evan should be in the top 2, if not the top 3, and Ty Jerome should be somewhere on the board for this as well.
I would agree. I mean, I don't think they have a comeback player of the year in the NBA, but if they did, I think that might be Ty Jerome's, like a whole year off, kind of bouncing around the league before that. I mean, I think he was 5 teams in 4 years or something like that.
That's a good call. The NBA doesn't have that like the NFL does. You're right. And that would be an award you would think he would be a favorite for.
Exactly. But yeah, I agree. I think he should be on the board at least. And the only person I think you could have a real case is Cade Cunningham above Evan Mobley. I mean, like, sure, the Daniels kid in Atlanta. I don't even know where his season is now. I know he lit it up for a little while, but
well, he's turned into the best perimeter defender in the NBA. I think that's a big part of it, but defense doesn't get awarded the same way offense does.
Right. And he was lighting it up in the middle part of the year, but like he's definitely tapered off from that. I mean, their whole team is tapered off from that.
I personally think, as far as Dyson Daniels go and Lou Dort from OKC, I think they should be second and third in Defensive Player of the Year, obviously behind Mobley. I mean, they've Jaren Jackson Jr. and Draymond Green are Draymond Green's a little bit past his prime. I don't think he's still a very good defender, but not a Defensive Player of the Year type defender. And Jaren Jackson I don't think he's that high either. I think like perimeter guys don't get considered for this award enough. And I do think Evan is very deserving of Defensive Player of the Year. I think those two guys should have been higher more than some of the other guys. And I don't know why SGA is on the board at all.
I have no idea why SGA is on there. I mean, he's the long shot. He's the 10,000, but yeah, holy cow.
He's a very good defender, but not the best defender in the NBA. That's a little aggressive. All right. I think it's your turn. Which one you want to talk about next?
We can go to 6 man of the year because we got 2 guys in that race. DeAndre Hunter is currently 3rd at plus 2,000. Ty Jerome right behind him at 4th at 2,200. I don't know, man. I don't know how Beasley or Pritchardson's ahead of these 2 guys. I mean, you can make a case for Pritchardson, I guess, but he plays way more minutes than these guys. I don't know. I'm torn on it. Like, I don't want to like talk down at all the competition. Yeah. The Cavs should win all the awards, but
right.
I feel like those 2 guys have been kind of the quintessential 6-man, like come in and be the contributors to succeeding and success versus having just high box scores.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I have much more of a problem with Peyton Pritchard than I do Malik Beasley. I think Peyton Pritchard had a very good start to the year and is living a little bit more off of that and name recognition and playing for Boston. I frankly don't. If you look at the totality of the season, I don't know if he's in the top 5 or 6 man of the year, and he's the favorite. So go figure that out. Malik Beasley, I will say, you like in sports, you like rewarding teams that overachieve, right? And Detroit, you could argue, has overachieved more than anyone in the NBA, like from what their standards was. And Malik Beasley is having not a career year, but like his best year in like 5 years. He's having far and away. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, and he really stepped up when Jaden Ivey was out. So all that's to say, I understand him being towards the top of this award. Also, my personal, extremely biased opinion is I don't know why Ty Jerome isn't towards the top. And if you're counting stats, Ty Jerome's not going to be at the top. But the reason for that is Ty Jerome plays behind 2 all-star guards. But he has been such a high-level contributor to, by record, the best team in the NBA. He's definitely been the Cavs over the totality of the season, their 5th best player behind the Big 4. And he is, I mean, how many times have we seen him come in at the end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, and just swing a game that was just kind of like puttering along and the Cavs weren't playing. And he just comes in and just makes plays and creates a little chaos and hits shots. And I really think he should, not saying he definitely has to win it, because like you said, we shouldn't just say Cavs win every award, but I don't understand him being such a distant 4th to Peyton Pritchard.
Well, I mean, DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome. I mean, the gap between Pritchard and Beasley, Pritchard at -280, Beasley at a +320. So smaller gap.
Yeah.
But then between Beasley and DeAndre Hunter is +320 to +2,000. I mean, DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome are closer odds wise to Nas Reed than they are to Malik Beasley and Peyton Pritchardson, which is not a shot at Nas Reed. He's having a great year out there in Minnesota. But like you said, I don't think Nas Reed is affecting a game the way that Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter.
No, and it's weird how some awards guys will get. It's like they'll consider how much the team wins on the individual awards, and on other ones they don't. Right?
Yeah. Right.
And I actually think Sixth Man of the Year is something that winning should count a lot, because the sixth man's role is to come in and flip a game flip a game for the better that doesn't start out so well for your team, right? And I love DeAndre Hunter and everything. I think I'm more leaning towards Ty Jerome just because we watched him the whole season, right, and because this season is such a breakout for him, where DeAndre Hunter's having the best season of his career, but by like 10 or 15%. Like right. Ty Jerome's having the best year of his career by like 500%. And so, and I mean, we love Ty Jerome, so I will admit that bias. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe we'll get surprised. I also will readily admit here, I have a financial investment in Ty Jerome winning the Sixth Man of the Year. I bought it when it was plus 3,000. So
the line has not moved enough.
Yeah, maybe that's speaking a little bit. All right, and we'll get into we'll talk about All NBA here in a second. I want to talk about a couple of awards that the Cavs aren't going to win. A Cavs player isn't going to win, but I'm a little. We'll talk about why maybe a Cavs should be more considered than they are. First, Clutch Player of the Year. I kind of hate this award. I think it's stupid. I think that I don't really know how they judge clutch. I mean, there are numbers for it, but it seems like the numbers only somewhat, contribute to who gets chosen. And Darius Garland has the best clutch stats in the NBA, and he has for most of the year. He doesn't have the volume of them because the Cavs don't play as many close games as other NBA teams do. So, but I'm like, should he or somebody, like, no one on OKC is being considered for this Clutch Player of the Year award either, because they win so much and they win by an average of double digits every game. And so I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to say I don't like this award.
I am totally okay getting rid of this and bringing Comeback Player of the Year.
I feel like
that's way more measurable than clutch. And like you said, the Cavs and the Thunder haven't had as many clutch moments because they're wiping the floor with teams.
Yep, and for sure. Alrighty, so last one. Two more. I'm going to talk about MVP, and that'll kind of lead into the All NBA and how many Cavs we think will make All NBA. So MVP, there is no Cav on the board. If they had a fifth person on the board, which they have 4: SGA, Jokic, Tatum, and Giannis. Most of you probably predict that. The fifth would probably be Donovan Mitchell. And I don't necessarily think Donovan Mitchell should win MVP because those guys I just listed, particularly SGA and Jokic and Tatum, are just been all so amazing this year. And Donovan doesn't have quite the stats that they do and everything. I did at least want to talk about MVP. To me, isn't just stats. It's like, how much do you contribute to your team winning? And we've talked about this at the live show, that I think Donovan Mitchell has just completely grown so much as a leader on this team. I know we've joked a few times, like, he leads the league in high fives. He's always encouraging guys. He's bringing along these younger players, even sometimes at the expense of his own stats. And so, I would like him to at least be on the board for this. I totally understand him not winning, but yeah, I think he has been, if you considered everything that goes into, leading your team to winning, which is the whole point of this thing, like, Donovan Mitchell should be on the board for MVP.
Yes, I agree. But I think these guys are all MVP because without them, their teams are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, statistically, the Nuggets are the worst team in basketball when Jokic is not on the floor.
Yeah.
So, I think that's why this MVP is weighted so differently. Where, to your point, I think Kenny and the whole front office has kind of got the vision in all of these guys' heads that we're looking beyond that. We're looking to build a dynasty, and the way that you do that is, because we've mentioned it before, how he's kind of turning into like this Steph Curry mentor leader of the team, and that's just elevating everybody with him versus you guys are screwed if I'm not here type of thing.
For sure. Completely agree. We'll lead that into our final one, the all NBA teams. So the 4 guys I mentioned that are, on the board for MVP, they're going to be first team all NBA. That's, again, Jokic, SGA, Giannis, Tatum. And I think we're narrowing the focus in that Donovan Mitchell is going to be that 5th guy and be on first team NBA. There were other guys who are definitely having seasons to deserve it, LeBron being one of them, but now they aren't going to hit they're not going to hit the game minimum like they need to be considered, or their play has fallen off a little bit. But do you see any way that Donovan Mitchell doesn't end up first team all NBA?
I mean, I think you said it best the other day, like to the, what was it? To the victor get the spoils.
Yeah.
Like, they have to. I mean, they don't have to, but I mean, I think Donovan Mitchell definitely gets in as the first team. And I think Garland and Mobley are quick in the second team. Mobley for sure in the second team. I would love to see Garland in the second team and Allen in the third team. We'll see how that plays out. I feel like Jared Allen is one of the most overlooked guys in the league. Maybe it's just because he's so nonchalant and quiet about everything, but I think there's going to be plenty of Cavs in it. But I think Donovan Mitchell is in the first team all NBA.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has the stats to back it up, and frankly, when you're the best player on the best team in the league, you win stuff like this, right? And so I think that's a lock. I'm going by, I have a couple different predictors, but I'm going to go with MSN's, like MSN Sports, to their all NBA team predictions. So they predict second team LeBron, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, and Evan Mobley being on the second team all NBA. I kind of think that's right. I think, LeBron and Brunson are both hurt right now. There's a possibility they don't get to the minimum games, which could shake this up. The Warriors are on fire right now. So like Steph Curry could, potentially move up to second team or something. But I actually think this is pretty reasonable. And I think all NBA second team is exactly where Evan belongs. Like the guys listed on the first team are the absolute best players in the league, and Mobley's like rising towards that. He's not quite there yet, but I think all NBA second team is exactly where Mobley should be.
I do wish they would go back to just player by position versus just because, I mean, we're seeing the first team is getting, well, I guess maybe they're only getting a 4 and a 5, but realistically, like if Embiid put together a great year, like he could have been in there. And then if Wemby put together or was healthy through the year, he would have been in there. And then you just have a first team that are just all bigs.
I agree. I liked it much better in his positions. I understand the argument for it that the best players should be rewarded. They should be penalized just because other best players happen to play the same position as them. But I don't know. I mean, there's not a
Shouldn't
perfect
that just
way to
be
do
like
it. Yeah.
be better, play harder. Like, isn't that the incentive?
I'm with you, and I've heard like Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo and I think Keith Smith talk about like big time NBA guys talk about not liking this, and they still vote in the old format even if they don't necessarily have to. And so, but all that's to say, if this is how it shakes out for Evan, I think that's exactly where Evan deserves. It's fully deserved. And I think that, at least from the Cavs perspective, that would be the right outcome as he's second team All NBA.
I'm trying to look at. So I know the like minimum game. So does that count? Just not showing up for the team, like Jimmy Butler, or the team saying just don't show up? Like,
yeah. Well, Butler's not going to win any awards. So.
No, but I'm just like thinking about it. Like,
yeah,
he's just, because with Golden State being on fire recently, basically since they got him, like,
yeah. So I have a different guy kind of along similar lines to you. So the third team All NBA prediction, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steph Curry, Karl Anthony Towns, no problem with those three. Jalen Williams with the Thunder, we can talk about that. I don't have a huge problem with that. And a little bit of putting a second Thunder guy on there because they're so good. I kind of understand that. But they have the fifth guy as Kevin Durant, and I do have a problem with that because he's frankly just he still has good stats and he's still an incredible player, but he has just tanked this season with the Suns, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. I'm not even make the play-in, I should say. There's no reason he should make an All NBA team, and I'm not even talking about over a Cav, over several other qualified candidates.
I would agree. I mean, I feel like you can't. I don't know. I feel like you can't be like locker room. I don't want to say he's locker room poison, but like you can't have the season he's having in the organization turmoil that he's having, and kind of be awarded for it.
Yeah, I agree. And so I'm kind of okay with most of this list until you get to the third team. I'm definitely not okay with Durant, and I could hear arguments either way for Jalen Williams. I definitely think I would be okay if he ends up on the third team. But like, listen off some of the guys that would be kind of the first cuts, like not make an All NBA team. Darius Garland, Dame Lillard, Jaylen Brown, Sabonis, Siakam, Sengun. These are all guys. Now, I will say Jared Allen. I love Jared Allen. I don't think he has the cumulative stats for All NBA, and he's hurt by the fact that they don't go by positions anymore. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there was any way he had a chance at this. But I do think Darius Garland has a real chance at third team in that Kevin Durant spot, or potentially the Jalen Williams spot. If you do, remove Durant, I don't know if any of these other guys I ran through are more deserving. I mean, Jaylen Brown's an incredible player. I mean, Dame Lillard's had a really good year, but I don't know if he's had a better year than Garland. You could always try and put like Sengun on there because the Rockets have been so good this year. You just want to put a Rocket on it, but I like Darius Garland to make the third team NBA, and if he does, I think that's again where he deserves to be. I think he has had a top 15 year as far as players go in the NBA, and I again don't think he's had quite the year that some of the guys above him have had, but I think he would be completely deserving of a third team All NBA.
I agree.
Yeah, and so we'll see how it shakes out. I feel pretty confident about Donovan making the first team, Mobley making the second, and then I do think it's a little bit of a coin flip with Garland. Once you get to the third team, there's so many guys that are borderline deserving. It may turn into a popularity contest or something. I don't know, but anyway, with all that, and we didn't say it, but Executive of the Year is going to be Kobe Altman. So, but
it's definitely not Nico Harrison.
Oh God, we put a Nico Harrison bomb in there. Cool. Well, anything else before we get out of here, Skylar?
No, he had to go put on a pot of coffee so he can stay up for this Cavs game.
Yeah, you and me both. We'll see how much. My goal is to make it to the first half and then watch the second half as soon as I wake up. So that's
I might have to be doing that also.
Yeah. But one more time, I want to let everybody know, if you didn't hear at the beginning, we're doing a March Madness poll. Grand prize is free Cavs tickets to the Bulls Cavs game in April. So get on, play. You know, it's fun. We did ask. We do ask to win if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're trying to grow that as we're trying to grow everything else. And several people have here in the last 24 hours. So I really, really appreciate people doing that. Little programming notes with the super late games. We are going to put out our post-game recaps the next morning. So we'll be throwing out another podcast sometime tomorrow morning, another one Thursday morning, and then we'll see what we're going to do about these other late games on the West Coast. We'll see how that works out and kind of go from there. But for Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope everyone can stay up to see another Cavs victory. And as always, Skylar,
go Cavs.